What's going on, guys? Alex here with 814 EDC, and today I'm ready to do my full review on the Kubey Knives Supercell. Now, this is a newer release from Kubey. I believe this came out probably about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago or so by now. And this is a design by Casey over at Knives Fast, over at Tempest Knives. So you guys all know and love Casey. Has a channel, Knives Fast. He has the knife company, Tempest Knives. I have two of them in the collection here. You got the Microburst, and then we have the Fractus. Got some tape on the Fractus there. Love Casey's designs. Really big fan of him. I mean, he's a great human being. Like I said, we all know and love Casey. This was kind of a surprise drop from Kubey, from him. He did a design with them, under Tempest Knives, design, licensed through Kubey, and I had to pick one of these up. So yeah, we're ready to do my full review on it. I've had it in for probably about a month now or so, and I'm really enjoying it. It's kind of weird. I don't get too many big knives in my collection. I tend to go for, you guys have heard me say it probably a gazillion times by now. I tend to go for knives, 3 inches, maybe even a little less depending on the knives. But 3 to like 3 1/4 is kind of my sweet spot. I rarely go for like 3.5 inch blades, but this is a 3.5 inch blade, and the Fractus is a 3.5 inch blade. So it's kind of crazy how, realistically, I think these are the only 2 knives in my collection with 3.5 inch blades, and they're both Casey designs. I found that kind of funny, but Supercell, really good knife. I bought this from White Mountain Knives. Let me check here. There are 4 different variations of this knife. So you got this one. You got a blacked out titanium with gold accents. That is currently the only one in stock on White Mountain Knives, but I'll still leave a link in the description down below, because of course you guys can use code Lefty10. I think Casey, Knives Fast 10 to get 10% off, and then it'll drop your price down. But they have the black with gold accents. They have this one, which is just called a dark blast titanium. You have a blue anode titanium with a stonewash, and then you have a normal titanium with blue anode hardware and a stonewash as well. Now, I did reach out to Justin, who is the guy behind White Mountain Knives, and talk to him about it. And I bought this through him, so I did get a little bit better of a price because I was doing a review on it and things like that. But let me add one to the card here, because they also had a deal going on. I think if you put code Kubey in, you could save. Okay, that's weird. So I added one to my cart, and it goes from 125 down to 99. But then if I add code, I think it was Kubey, disabled, so it can't be used. Okay, can I use Lefty 10? I don't know why I'm doing this earlier in the video. I normally talk about pricing later in the video. But yeah, okay, so yeah, it automatically takes the price down to $100, and you can use someone's code to get $10 off of that. So we'll touch on that later in the video. I kind of jumped the gun there, but so I apologize about that. But without further ado, we're going to jump into this video. First off, we're going to go with materials. This is rocking titanium scales. You guys can see it has some beautiful micromilling on the bottom right there. Love the Kubey logo. I'm a big fan of this dark blast. That's why I got it. It's kind of like acid, really dark acid wash, kind of a battle worn look. You have a milled titanium clip that is reversible on this side. You have a flipper tab. You have a drop point with kind of a spear pointness going on. Blade 14C28N. Kubey logo right there on the blade. Nice edge on this. Tempest Knives logo. This is an inset liner lock with plenty of internal milling. So you got 3 big pockets on the show scale side, as well as 2 pockets on the frame lock side. Again, hole for deployment, a flipper tab. Got some standoffs back here, as well as a lanyard loop. And yeah, that's about all it goes for materials. So we're gonna go 5 out of 5. I mean, you guys know, hard not to get a 5 out of 5 on the materials, but titanium, milled clip, multiple ways of deploying the knife, 14C, hard to beat. We'll give you some quick specs real quick. So overall length from tip to butt is 7.99 inches. You have a blade length of 3.46 inches, a blade thickness of 0.12 inches. Of course, it's 14C. This is considered a drop point, which it is, but I see a little bit of kind of a spear point in there too. Handle length is 4.53, and it comes in weighing 4.2 ounces, which honestly, it doesn't feel like it weighs that much. The weight on this knife is really good. It feels like you have a substantial amount of, tool in your hand, and I really like that. So honestly, I am kind of surprised that it weighs that much because it doesn't feel like that in hand. So yeah, we're gonna move on next to the aesthetic. And I think this knife looks great. Again, I'm maybe a smidge biased just because I like KZ as a person. He's a really good dude, really good, community member here in the EDC world on YouTube. But I like his designs. I think he designs really good stuff. I have gotten every one of his knives except for, I think it was the Microburst. No, the Jetstream. I liked it. I had it in for review, but it wasn't, to me, this is similar to the Jetstream, but a simpler design, kind of a better design. And that's not me throwing shade at, I really like the knife. I just wasn't a huge fan of it like I was some of the other stuff. The Fractus is one of my favorite knives in the collection, arguably knife of the year in my opinion. And he has another knife coming out. I think it's going to be his next Tempest Knives knife to drop, and that is a downdraft with a warning blade, aluminum scales. I am really, really excited for that. I've been, kind of bugging him about it, like, every once in a while, I'm like, hey, when's that knife coming out? When are you doing this? When are you doing that? So I'm really excited for that one, but I think this knife looks great. It's just a very simple design. I mean, you have a beautiful blade shape here. What I didn't touch on earlier, but Casey always designs his blades and his knives kind of around airplanes and, cars in a way. More so airplanes, but this has the look of kind of a cockpit with like the nose of the airplane up here, which I really like. Very simple handle. I mean, you have a straight line wrapped around to a straight line. Simple milled clip. I just think it looks really good. I really like the way it runs together. Clean lines, simple lines. Set is going to get a 5 out of 5 for the aesthetic. Next up is action. So of course we have a flipper tab up here with plenty of jimping. We also have a hole for deployment that you can thumb flick as well as middle finger flick. I prefer the middle finger flick method. You can thumb flick, but it's just a little bit tougher to get your thumb down in there. So I tend to, just middle finger flick as well as use the flipper tab. The detent is tuned pretty well. I mean, it's not the snappiest detent in the world, but it's above average. It's pretty good. Flipper tab, push button method works so good every time. You can, of course, use the light switch. Not my preferred method. I much prefer to use the light switch, or excuse me, the push button, but it fires right out of there. Reverse flick, just bangs. Thumb flick also works good. You just don't get that snappiness that you do with the reverse flick, but just very, very responsive, very snappy. And you can, of course, slow roll it out. You can index finger flick it. You can ring finger flick it. You can do all the things. Of course, it is an inset liner lock, so you get really good action on the downward trajectory of the blade. Pretty, locked up pretty tight. There might be a smidge of blade play if you really torque down on it, but overall, very, very nice and tight. Good tolerances, and you guys can see when I close it, drops to my thumb. The flipper tab hits my nail, and then I just shake it home, or I can drop down lower. Whoops, drop down lower. Drop down real low, and then it'll drop to my thumb in one shake and it's home. But I like that it's not like, just an absolute guillotine. I love knives that have nice controlled drops, and they're very glassy. I know that's an overused term, but they're very glassy and very smooth. But this is a great knife to play with. My wife got annoyed with me because I fidgeted with this thing. So I got it, I think I unboxed it on a Friday before we went home for a weekend to see our parents. And I flicked it the whole way home. I flicked it all weekend, and my wife got a little annoyed with me. But it's just a fun knife to play with, and for that reason, it's going to get a 5 in the action category. Next up is acoustics. That middle finger flick, I mean, it fires out of there. You get some great acoustics from that. Sounds like it's being shot from a gun. Flipper tab, not bad. I'd say it's good. I mean, it's probably about maybe a little bit above average. Thumb flick, still good, but that middle finger flick is just what's driving this home. It is milled out. I was hoping maybe for some more high pitchedness from it, from the reverberating of the sounds through the scales. But overall, I mean, it's still very good. It's still above average. I mean, this is very addicting to do, and you guys can hear that firing out of there. I'm going to go 4. I think that's fair. I think that's going to be a pretty positive review the rest of the way out, so I feel bad not giving it a 5. That's going to keep it from being a perfect knife, but I mean, you guys know what it is. So I think 4 out of 5 is very applicable, very manageable for the acoustics, and we're going to leave it at that. But next up is Ergos. Like I said earlier, with the aesthetics, it's a very clean, simple design, nice lines, and usually that translates well over into the ergo department. And of course, this being a little bit on the larger size, it's a very comfortable blade, I should say, knife to handle. These scales here, again, have these, I'm trying to get the reflection, but this beautiful micro milling texturing on there. Fantastic, works really good, adds a little bit of grip. You, of course, have jimping up here on top of the little ramp, and then you have jimping down here on the flipper tab. I can get all 4 fingers on this knife very, very easily. I don't feel cramped. I have plenty of space to kind of spread out, and I have about that much sticking out of the back. My thumb lands naturally right on this jimping with the little ramp. Feels very good, and my index finger, or pointer finger, excuse me, is wrapped around right here. You get a nice natural restriction point with the flipper tab. Sometimes I don't like when knives do that. I don't love the way knives, with flipper tabs feel. I feel like I'm kind of squished in, but not at all the case here. Very, very comfortable. And that jimping just adds a little bit on the finger, which kind of locks your hand in. You could use the flipper choil kind of area up here if you needed to do some really precise cuts, but you want to be very careful because you are very close to the edge. And I probably wouldn't recommend that. But hammer grip works good. Saber grip works really good. Reverse hammer grip. Pinch grip. You can slice through things. Not the best blade design for, pinch grip, but it is what it is. Milled clip is, very comfortable in hand. It pretty much just disappears into one of my knuckle crevices. Nice and flat, really no sharp edges on it or anything like that. So, no complaints there. Overall, it's a very, very comfortable knife, and, very good to use. Nice thin blade shape, very usable blade shape. So you guys can probably guess. Another 5 out of 5 on the Ergos. Next up is Carry. Now this is, yes, it does have a flipper tab. So it does, you do have risk of maybe going down beside it to get change, chapstick, something like that that's floating in the body of your pocket and possibly catching on the knife and pulling it up out. I haven't had those issues at all, and I've carried this quite a bit since I've got it in. But overall, it's a pretty, not very wide. It kind of tucks down in the pocket very nicely. You have no, sharp edges or anything up here on the edge of the knife, so you kind of just go right down by it. But it carries very, very well. For being a milled clip, you have about that much sticking out of your pocket, which is not a big deal at all. I kind of like the way that looks, if I'm being honest. Just looks nice and very parallel, which I am a fan of. You can carry it lefty, which is very, very nice. It's nice that Casey added that filler tab on there and gives the ability to lefties for, carryability. But I mean, honestly, it's for being a larger size knife, it's very good, very comfortable, nice and slim. It's a pretty slim package overall, and it fits very well in the pocket. I carried this in khakis and my bird dogs a few times. I've carried this in gym shorts, taking my dog for walks. I've carried this in jeans a few times. Now that we're getting to finally jeans weather, although today's like 75 and tomorrow's gonna be like 80 here in Pennsylvania. But I digress. All things considered, 5 out of 5 on the Carry. Nothing to complain about. A lot of things to praise about. So we're gonna go 5 out of 5. And that leads me to my last category of price point / value / would I recommend this knife. So, like I said earlier, the knife on White Mountain Knives goes for $124.80. So $125 for this knife, which I will leave a link to White Mountain Knives down below so you can check out all 4 of them. The only one in stock, of course, is the blacked out one with gold accents. But if you're interested, put in your email and they will notify you when they get more. which I'm assuming they will. 125 from the factory. I think that's a good, no, actually from the factory they're more. 125 standard price. I think that's a really good deal. Kubey's been kind of living in, not living in, but they've been putting out more, you know, in that price range, 120, 125, 130. Like the Very Gero had it, and I believe one other one had it, where they're producing titanium framed knives with really nice materials, but they're giving you 14C28N, which is a budget steel, so they're able to save you money there. They're kind of mixing that premium and budget into this line, and I think the Supercell fits right in there very well. Now, if you were to buy one whenever they come back in stock, or if you want the blacked out one, like I said, when you add it into your cart, it automatically goes down to $99.84, which is a really, really good price. And then if you use someone's code like KnivesFast10, Lefty10, anyone else that has a White Mountain Knives code, you can get another $9.98. So that brings your total down to $89.86 with, you know, great shipping. I never talk about that with White Mountain Knives, but they have some of the best and fastest shipping in the knife game. So $90 for this, I can absolutely recommend it. I think that's a great deal. I think that's a great, you know, value. You know, getting $30 off of a really, really good knife is always fantastic. But great design, great ergos, great carryability, you know, great action, great fit and finish. That's another thing that Kubey does really well nowadays is, you know, their stuff is pretty top notch. They're really, you know, they're pretty, I think, even keel with like a company like Riot and Beztech. They do a lot of really good stuff. So values there, price points there, and I can recommend this, you know, every day and twice on Sunday. If you're a fan of the design, then I would highly recommend going and picking one of these up. They are fantastic. Just really good all-around knives, simple knives, but, you know, sometimes those make really, really good carries and good knives. So we'll go 5 out of 5 on the price point and value section of my review. And I don't have to do too much math. I know that brings me to 34, which lands it in my fantastic category. 1 point off from being a perfect knife, and that is, you know, that goes to say that I have a lot of knives in the fantastic category that are a point, half a point, point and a half from being fantastic. And it's usually, or perfect, excuse me, and it's usually the acoustic that I need to, you know, kind of take them down a notch on. But yeah, the Supercell is fantastic. Casey, you designed a fantastic model here. Kubey, you killed it with the fit and finish and the production of the model. And I can't wait to see what they come out with next. Kubey has really, you know, impressed me this year. I've checked out a lot of their, you know, higher end stuff. And I'm really, really impressed with a lot of their quality and, you know, all that. But that being said, that was my full review on the Kubey Knives Supercell. Leave a comment down below. Have any of you guys picked one of these up? Is this the first time you're hearing about it? And if it is, are you now considering getting one? I really think you should. I think that's a great model to be in your repertoire. And if you're looking to get your first Tempest Knives model, because I know Tempest Knives does, you know, drops, and a lot of their stuff sold out. This gives you a, you know, nice, you know, easy knife to go grab off of a shelf that is going to be helping out Casey and supporting him and all the good things. But I'm going to wrap this up now. So thank you guys again so much for watching. I greatly appreciate each and every single one of you guys. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your morning, evening, night, day, whenever you're watching this. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.